Hi guys, welcome back to the Player YouTube channel. You join me today out on the road in a car that was conceived in Sweden and is currently being manufactured in China. This is the Polestar 2, and believe it or not, in my humble opinion, I think this is one of the only cars that can literally go head to head with Tesla's Model 3. Let's get around it, let's get underneath it, let's get it out on the road and give you our evaluation of this luxury electric vehicle. So let's start with a little history lesson, a bit of a story, shall we say. In 1996, Volvo, yes, Volvo, came up with the idea that they needed a luxury arm to their brand, like Mercedes and AMG and Toyota and Lexus and the like, if you know what I'm talking about. They came up with Polestar, which was an incredible gamble in a way, because they wanted to make an all-out luxury electric car to go head-to-head with none other than Mr. Tesla himself, Elon Musk. And this is what they came up with. Well, it wasn't quite this car, because this is the Polestar 2. They came up with a Polestar 1, but they injected a lot of time and a lot of money into this, and it started to sort of drain a little bit. And Volvo were getting a bit worried because they didn't want to lose this opportunity. They were then approached by a company called Grille, a Chinese company who already had 30 odd cars of their own that they were selling in abundance. And they also owned another company called Lotus, which you've probably also heard of. They decided to do a deal in 2015 and bought this particular brand off of Volvo. And now is where we are today in 2021. This is the Polestar 2. The first car that came out was a production model that only produced 500 units at a price of 150,000 UK pounds, which you're not going to sell hundreds of thousands of those cars. The Polestar 2 is completely the opposite. It's a £39,800 entry-level car, which is highly affordable. And at the same time, it's a very good-looking car. But how does it compare to the Tesla? Let's find out. Let's start taking a look round at the front, because it's a really good-looking car. Well, I think it is anyway. It comes with standard 19-inch diamond cut alloys. I think they're really lovely, those. And also these LED Thor's hammer. Can you see that? Thor's hammer? Oh, I like that, the old Thor. In actual fact, apparently, these were origami inspired. Max Mizuno, who is the chief designer, must love his origami, because I really like those lights, they're cool. There's quite a bit of aero going on at the front here, which is relevant because you need a really aerodynamic car if it's running on battery power. And I think he's achieved that here really nicely. Another thing that he wanted to keep was this grille here at the front. It's highly unusual for an electric car to actually have like a road-going engine car grille. But they want to keep this because, as they told us, in the future, this not only will keep it looking like any other car, but it will also be used as an area for autonomous driving. The radar and the pickup and all the bits and pieces that you need for this car to drive autonomously. Where you can take your hands off, have a ham sandwich and sit in the back and watch it do its thing. Another few bits and pieces I noticed on the car was the logo. DS Automobile familiar? Does look a bit like that, doesn't it? Well, I think so anyway. I also love the colours. The colours on this car, there are 6 different colours. If you want it in black, there's no extra charge. However, the other 5 colours is an extra £900. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Bonnet release down here on the driver's side. Obviously, if you're in a left, it's beeping to let me know I've pulled it. If you're in a left-hand drive car, it's still going to be in the passenger side because they're not going to move it around for that. The actual bonnet release itself is a big yellow catch here. You just pull it across and it's got a couple of nice gas struts, so it's nice and easy. Now, I always feel it's a bit of a shame because even though this is electric, wouldn't it be nice to be able to see the motor in here? You know, like an engine, it'd be really cool, even if they had a plastic surround or something. There's not much else to see in here, unfortunately. It's nowhere near as big as a Tesla. The Tesla, you can get a couple of overnight bags in here quite easily, whereas this one is just about get your charging leads in. Now, let's talk a little bit about charging, range anxiety and all that stuff, because that is so important when you're buying one of these cars. This is what I affectionately call the emergency charger, and there's a reason I call it that. It will come with any of your, wherever you are in the world, it's for you to be able to just plug this car into a mains anywhere, in a cafe, in your house, anywhere where you can't find one of those superchargers or a charger. It will take a while because from 0 to 90%, 90% being the optimum charging point on an electric car, just to let you know that as well. 0 to 90 will take around 40 hours. That's nearly 2 days in my book. Well, it's well over a day and a half, let's put it that way. So, you know, it's not something you're going to be wanting to do too often. Where it does come in handy is if you pop round to see some friends, you're going to go and, you know, spend an evening and you've done 20, 30 miles, you just want to top it up, you can just plug it into their garage maybe. It's good to have, and it's there just in case. Now, one of the good things in the UK here, you can get a home charger. Now, this is one of those, it's similar to what you see at the service stations where you just sort of pull up and pull the nozzle out and plug it in. It looks like that, and inside it looks, if I pull that off there, a bit like that. You don't have to worry about any of this getting wet either. It's all safe, all nice and safe, and you can leave it on charge overnight because once this is plugged in, you can't pull it out unless you press a button. Once it's locked, you've got to have the keys. So it's quite safe. To install one of those in your home will cost between 300 and 500 UK pounds. However, there is a subsidy when you buy one of these cars, and you should look into that because it will depend on where you live, how much that subsidy is. But that's the average cost, 300 to 500. If you've got one of those at home, it's going to take around 8 hours or overnight. So basically, when you come in from your day's work or wherever, you can plug straight in like you would if you were going in a filling station, and that will then pump the juice in overnight, 8 hours, come back out in the morning, off you go again, and you've got a full charge, which is great. That will cost, on the home system currently, 2021 rates as of April this year, around about 4.4 pence per mile. So therefore, I'll let you do the math on how many miles you're going to be doing each day or how often you use it. That'll give you a good indication. If you are out and about and you want to use one of those service station chargers, there is a couple of different chargers that you can get. You can get the 150 kilowatt one. That's the big all singing and dancing one. That will charge this car from 0 to 90% in 40 minutes. That's if you're lucky to find one. They're few and far between, and there will be a queue normally because the Tesla boys like to get in there early. So you have to watch out for that. On a standard 81, you were going to get, it's going to about 2 hours to actually to charge this up from 0 to 90%. Cost at the service stations around about 6.8 pence per mile. A little bit more than what you're doing at home. Obviously, it's a different tariff and someone's got to make a bit of money out of it. Now, all of this requires a range on this car. Now, Polestar have told us 292 miles is the maximum range on this car. That's the long range version because there are 3 different versions of this car. We're going to talk about that when I do the inside bit and show you around inside the cockpit itself. I'll tell you about the different versions and the add-on packs and things like that. But let's talk range at the moment. So 292 miles on a full charge. We've got to allow 10% for ancillary items, things like windscreen wipers having to be used, air conditioning, tunes on, things like that. Heated seats, bits and pieces, charging your phone, you know, all those bits that you would normally take for granted in a petrol car. In this car, you've got to allow between 10 and 15% of that. So if we take around about 35 to 40 miles off of that, that brings us down to about, doing the math on it, say 230, I'll get my math right in a minute. Then you've got to take another 10% off to allow for traffic conditions. Stop starting, traffic jams, because you're not going to be sitting at a nice cool 70 all the way to your destination. In a super world, that would be ideal, but it's never going to happen. So another 10%. Basically, you add all that in, you end up with around about 220 to 230 miles on a full tank of this juice, this electricity. There you go. It's not bad. And as I say, you know, it's a 2.1 ton car. It's 300 kilos heavier than the Tesla. 300 kilos, I weigh in at around 80 kilos. That's 4 of me sat in this car, extra to the Tesla. That's quite a lot. So I think all in all, it's struggling a little bit when it comes to the range anxietists' nightmares when they. But 230, I'm happy with. Let's get round the back and have a look in the boot and see how it stacks up when it comes to size compared to the Tesla. So round at the back, it's a really nice looking car. It's very sleek, the design on this. I love this big floating rear screen here. It's all tinted out, which is really nice as well. You've got this dark tint and it sits in its own rubber, so you don't have any of those horrible rubbers. It's got some really nice lines around it and a little bit of aero running across there. You've got your DAB up the top there. Moving around here, you've got these amazing LED lights. In actual fact, this strip that runs all the way around here lights up at night, and so does this one here. It's a really lovely effect. The only thing I don't like at the back, I don't like these big sort of chromy silver bits here. I think that sort of just spoilt it a little bit. And well, obviously there's no tailpipes on this car. You've got your logo again in the middle there, very minimalist. I think that's really cool as well, and I'm beginning to like this colour as well. The actual boot release, well, there's one up the front, there's another one on the key, but there's another one just here as well, electronically assisted, and you'll see immediately it's a decent sized boot on this. You get over 400 litres of space in here, which is pretty good for a, well, it's basically it's a coupe, isn't it, really? The parcel shelf, well, you know what I'm like with parcel shelves. Absolutely hate these things, guys. However, if they go, you know, hidden underneath and you can get rid of them, then I say keep them. If they don't, then I say throw them. And unfortunately, with this car, we have tried. There is no way putting this underneath there. It just will not fit anywhere. So, sadly, even though it's very eco-friendly, in the bin immediately, because you're not going to get this in here. If you need to take that out and use it somewhere, you're going to end up having to bring it home with you stuck on somebody's lap. As I found out yesterday, when I took two friends of mine up to the golf club and we put our golf clubs in here. We had 3 sets of golf clubs in here. Yes, 3 sets and 2 trolleys. We did have to put the seat down in the end to get it all in, but that was a hindrance. We had to sort of throw it in over the top, and it was just, could have done without it. It would have been much easier under there. One good thing is, as it's Volvo, the back here pops up. Brilliant for short bits and pieces for your shopping or anything you need to stack in here. It's like a big, it's almost like an air brake, isn't it? Look at it. You just pop it up there. It's on a hinge bit. Really nicely done there. You've got a 12-volt adapter here. You've got a couple of tether points over there. Really nice. You've got a little cargo net here with a first aid kit, which is, I think it's actually legal in Europe now that you've got to carry one of these. There you go. It's in there if you need it. It comes with it. You've got a 40-60, I beg your pardon, an 80-20, we'll get it right this time, 80-20 split in the seat there. And that, if you can reach right the way over from here, you can push them forward. I'm going to have to do this one like this one, there, and push that down like that. And you get an absolutely huge space, which is what you'd expect from a car with this amount of room at the back. The other thing I like about it is it means that you get a decent height in here for sliding stuff in and out. And there's only just a slight lip in here. This, believe it or not, is an extremely practical car. Right, before I jump in the back and show you what it's like for the passengers, I did notice this door could probably do with going back another few degrees because it does make it a little bit tight getting in and out of here. But once mastered, and the thing you have to watch here, if you notice there, look how low that is on my head. So if you're getting a lift home from the pub one night, be very careful because you might knock yourself out getting in and out of here. That's very low. Another thing which I noticed on this car as well, and I can't show you, the reason is, I'll explain in a second, the windows on the rear only come down halfway. Now, if you want to use the windows on the rear, even if I turn the ignition on, someone has to be sitting in the driver's seat for the rear windows to work. Yeah, I'll let you work that one out yourself. In the back here, you do get independent blowers, so you can turn them wherever you want. They're quite nice. They've got a nice little clicky noise as well. I like that. Decent quality. For the money, I think I would have liked to have seen independent heating in the back here. I think that would have been nice. With this car, you get a USB charger in the back there. There you go. It's hidden under there. Looks like a 12-volt, but it is a USB in there. You also get heated rear seats. Now, that is an add-on pack, like a lot of the things on this car. There are 3 add-on packs. We're going to talk about those when I get up front, so we'll save on that for the moment. But you do get heated rear seats, which is quite nice. This is the vegan-friendly interior, so everything in here is very vegan-friendly. I also think this is going to be absolutely stunning if you've got young kids and they're spilling ice creams and sweets and things like that in it. This will just simply wipe off, and even the carpet as well in this car, I think it'll just wipe off and you can just hoover anything up, whatever they're going to throw around in here. Speaking of kids, you've got ice fix points in the back here. These are the pulley outy ones. Now, they're going to lose these, or little Sven is going to pass this over to Inga, and she's going to open her mouth and she'll swallow it. So they're not a good idea if they're kids in here because they will get lost. You'll end up having to buy more, or they could end up swallowing one. In the centre, you get a pop-down armrest here. You've got a double cup holder, very nice. All feels good. There's a ski rack in here, but it's only accessible from the back. So if you want to put your long lengths of pine wood in here, or actually put a pair of skis through here, I can't imagine any English person doing that, you can do, but you need to do it from behind. You've got some poppy-uppy headrests as well, which are quite handy. Seat belts are recessed, so when you've got to slide across in a hurry, or you're cornering at 100 miles an hour, you won't get your jeans caught or your skirt, which is nice. You've got these sort of fishnet stocking affair things in the back. I don't know why they still put these in cars. I don't see the point. When we were young, these were for maps or books to keep you occupied when you were done. But we've all got iPads and game consoles. You know, we don't have phones and things. We don't put anything in there anymore. It's a bit of a waste. Let's test out what it's like in the middle. Now, let's bear in mind that this car is built on the chassis of an XC40. It's a Volvo XC40. So we've got a transmission tunnel in here, which is highly unusual for an electric car. You'd never find one of these in a Tesla because it was purpose-built as an electric car, whereas this actually uses that XC40 chassis. So we've got a transmission tunnel. It made it a little bit more helpful to hide some more battery power in there as well when they were manufacturing it. However, for jumping around in the back, it's still got the transmission tunnel, and it's quite a high one as well. So I'm going to jump over here, and to be honest, yes, I do think this works. Probably not for a long journey. Maybe boozy lunch syndrome. You know my boozy lunch syndrome? Maybe in Sweden you're taking Inga and Svetlana for a nice lunch with your managing director. You all end up having perhaps a few too skulls, too many, and you get your managing director to drive you back to the office, and you sit in the back with Svinga and Svetlana. Svinga? Probably had too many already. Inga and Svetlana. And I can honestly say I think the three of you would be very comfortable in here. Yes. And one thing I did notice, it's got some really nice courtesy lights in here. If you rub them like this, well, they were working over the other side. They're not working now, but they actually glow. They come up. I think it's switched itself off because I've left the key. But yeah, they sort of glow. Reminds me of a night in Malmo with Inga and Svetlana. Anyway, skip that one. Let's get in the front, see what it's like for the driver. Right, let's check it out up front, what it's like in the Polestar 2. And as I expected, it really is built as a driver's car. You can tell just by the, I'm going to turn the sounds down there because the power's all just come on automatically. Explain that in a second. These seats are so nice. Although they're not leather, you know, we've got the vegan pack in here. They're really nice. They're all electronically adjustable, and that's throughout the range of all three of the cars that you can get. They come as standard. You've also got memories over there. There's 2 memories you can put on these. So as soon as you get in, just push, if your memory is number 1, push number 1, and it'll go back to where it was. On the door over there, I love the actual styling of this. The way everything's shaped. You've got obviously your windows up and down, your mirrors and bits and pieces over there. I do like the little bits like this, the stainless on the door opener there, and those lovely, lovely mirrors. Now the mirrors, actually the whole mirror moves, so there's not an independent mirror inside. So the actual whole mirror itself, it's just really nice, very different. I mean, generally looking around in this car, it's very premium, and I think that's a good thing because obviously you're going to be paying over, nearly 40, in some cases, nearly 50,000 UK pounds, depending on what level you go for in one of these cars. Okay, let's talk a few bits. First up, the key. Well, you can't really call this a key. I think maybe somewhere along the line somebody forgot to actually design a key for this car, and I think it was a bit last minute when it came to somebody find something that we can use as a key. So maybe Polestar 3, when the third one comes out, have a little go on a nice key, something a bit different, because that is rather plain. Right, there is no start-stop button in this car, just to remind you. So if you're going for a test drive, don't look silly and go, where's the start-stop button? When you get in this car and you are in possession of this key, this car will go anywhere you want it to go. There's a selector, forward and reverse. Simple as. Foot on the brake and into gear. Well, there isn't a gear, into forward or into reverse. So simple. When you get out, when you stop, get out the car, put it in park, which is just there below the selector. Shut the door, lock it. That's all you do. And the rest of it, you just do the charging, get back in it and drive it. Simple as. Now, let's start with the steering wheel. It is a Volvo steering wheel. Okay, we've established that. It's just got the Polestar logo in the middle there. Good thing about it is it's not electrically adjustable. because the more electrically powered things we have in this car, like heated seats, electronically adjusted steering, all the like wireless charging, things like that, it's going to suck that battery dry much, much quicker because you're going to use it because you fancy it. Like this steering wheel has a heated steering wheel if you want to use it. I wouldn't suggest putting it on because it really sucks the life out of the battery, things like that. But it's manually adjustable and it's down here like in a normal car. You can adjust it up and down wherever you want it, and I found it's absolutely fine. You don't need electronic adjustment on this. Like in any normal car, you've got a wiper stalk here and you've got a lighting stalk over here. You can set this, it's got auto dip beam on this car as well, which is fantastic because those Thor's Hammers LED lights out there are pretty powerful. If you've got it on the auto dip, it just senses when a car's coming towards you if you're coming into a brightly lit area and you don't need the full beam. Love that. Everything comes up on your digital cockpit here on the actual instrument cluster. Well, it's not even an instrument cluster, it's just a digital cluster. You've got 3 different views on it. You've got a map view, you can have your range view with your battery percentages and so on and so on. You just set all that over on the bottom right hand side here. You can maneuver that around. So on your steering wheel, let's move on to the steering wheel as we're talking about steering. Media control here on the right, you've got on and off, and then you've got volume up and down, you've got scroll left and right. Google Assistant button on this car. Now, just before we carry on with the steering wheel, I'll just let you know there is no Apple Play on this car as of yet. As of October 2021, there will be a update sent to this car that you can have Apple Play on it. But at the moment, it is totally Android friendly. I know you're probably wondering why. I'll give you the answer. It's made in China. There you go. Leave the rest up to your imagination. But 2021 in October, you will have Apple Play. You can still use your iPhone in here because you've got Bluetooth. So you just connect into your Bluetooth. And to be honest, Google Maps, they are pretty good. That's all I'll say. Anyway, moving swiftly over back to the steering wheel again, left-hand side of your driver controls. So we've got the cruise control, we've got lane keeping, we've got distance control in this car as well. The car is almost fully autonomous, and it's very close indeed. Not quite as good as the Tesla autonomy, because on the Tesla will actually change lanes as well. At the moment, this car can't do that. In the future, well, not the very near future, I'm sure that is all going to become apparent when we all go autonomous driving. Over to the right here, you've got the rear boot control, so you can open it and close it from here, which is great because if you're picking up, the other half from a shopping trip and it's snowing or raining, you don't want to get out and get wet. You're sitting in here nice and warm and cozy, listening to your tunes. Push the button and let him or her load up their own shopping, and then they can jump in and drive off. There you go. Perfect little button for a man, isn't it? Next to that is the luminosity button. Love a luminosity button. If it's too bright at night, you can tone it down. If it's not bright enough during the day, you can tone it up. As simple as that. Nice and easy. That's the one thing I love about this car. Everything within it, this car, is very easy to get used to and get to grips with. A lot easier than the Tesla Model 3. I've got to say that. And another thing is, I don't like that massive screen in the Tesla. They've all got it. It's almost twice as big as this screen. This screen fits in nicely. It all works. It's very minimalist. It's very Swedish, very beautifully designed. And you don't really need a massive, great screen to take centre of attention. I think this is really nice. Let's have a look at the screen while we're talking about it. You've got all what you need on here. Again, with the Tesla, I find it very difficult. You've got to learn to understand it. And there are a lot of things on the Tesla that you really don't need, like when it can do its dancing thing and, flashing its lights and things like that and, pop-off sounds and things. You know what I mean? You just don't need all that. It's fun the first time. After that, it's boring. But it's taking up space and making things awkward on here. This is simple to the point. Again, very Swedish, very black or white. One good thing I love about this car, you can start setting it up how you like it. So if you like your steering a bit heavier, a bit firmer, you can change the steering on it. You can go into a sport mode where it turns the traction control off. I wouldn't advise it. It's a big, heavy car. Well, not big, but it's heavy. And on a slippery day, I think that'd be reserved for a little bit of track fun if you ever took this out on the track. You've got your creep button on here. Now, creep button is very similar to when you're in an automatic car. You've got the car in gear. If you take your foot off the brake, it will roll forward. I like that because I drive an automatic car as my daily car. So you can put that on. If you don't like it, you can just turn it off as well. This car also uses the KERS recovery system like all hybrid and plug-in electric vehicles do. KERS recovery, I'm sure you're aware of it, kinetic energy recovery system. Basically, when you're coasting or braking, some of that power goes back to the battery and it's stored. It's so minimal, it's unbelievable. It's like a mile here and there. You're not going to get, there's no way, well, I don't think we'll ever get to the stage where we can fully recharge the lithium battery that's in this car from just the KERS system. It'd be incredible when we do get to that stage. Unfortunately, it's not at that stage yet. You can change the density on that. And when I mean by the density, so you can have it really strong. So as you take your foot off the accelerator, it will almost brake for you. I like it very light indeed, because you're not going to get that many miles out of it anyway, so I'd rather have it light and have the car coast a bit more, which is just my style of driving. That's what I prefer. Let's talk about a few bits and pieces here in the car. You've got a cubby here which houses a second cup holder. Now the problem is, if your passenger has got a cup in there, you're not going to be able to use this as an armrest because it won't close. As you can see, cups in there won't close down. So basically, again, tell your passengers to hold their tea or coffee in their hand, because you need the armrest, and you can put your cup in there. There you go. Again, I'm saying how good the finish is on this. You've got places to store bits for his and hers, if you like, or his and his, whichever way you prefer. Either side there. A couple more bits on the car. You've got the assist buttons here, which you can change on the car. Yeah, on the actual systems itself. You've got your driver support aids here, driver alerts. You've got the road sign recognition, things like that. Lane keeping. You can set your charge. I think I said earlier about keeping it at 90%. You can move that down to 70, 80, 90, whatever's, you know, suits you more. We've got you can set up all this screen how you want it. So if you want to move these icons around and have them set up differently to the way I've got it here, you can do. You can have it on, like, you know, this is your book, this is your manual. It's all in here. You can go into your manual. It's very simple. Polestar 2 manual. It's lovely. I love the animation on this as well. It's really, really cool. It's a lovely, lovely system. The only thing I would like to show you, obviously, is the, oops, I meant to press the maps there. What I want to show you is the temperature. It's so lovely, look at that. And you can do that with gloves on as well, guys, because, you know, I normally love a decent knob because of wearing gloves in the winter. You can't normally do that because you've got to flap around with it. It's so easy, look, it's just there, you push it and away you go. You can do that with your gloves. But there is a knob for the volume. So if some inconsiderate person has been driving your car and left the tunes full blast when you get in the car, you can, with your gloves on, immediately turn your volume down using your rather nice knurled knob in the middle there. And it's got a pause and a play button on it as well. To the left of that, you've got your heated front and rear screens. So there you go, nice and simple. Now, there are three add-on packs that you can get to these cars. And what I'm going to show you, a couple of bits like the wireless charging, the Harman Kardon surround system with 13 speakers. They are part of the add-on packs. Now, I'm not going to go into everything that's included in the packs, but I will explain quickly the difference in the packs. So there's a pilot pack, which is your entry-level pack, which gets you basic upgradable bits and pieces. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit there because it's just started to come up. That costs 3,000 UK pounds. Then there's another pack called the Plus. That's 4,000 UK pounds. So you get all what the pilot's got plus some more. And then things like the nav aids and things like that, bits and pieces. I'll let the salesperson explain all that to you. And then there's a performance pack which gets the pilot and the Plus, and you get, I will tell you what you get with the performance pack because it's quite neat. You get 20-inch rims, but don't forget, bigger the rim, the more drag, it loses its drag efficiency, so it drains a little bit more on the battery. Just remember that. You also get gold seat belts. Oh yes, gold seat belts. You get yellow calipers, and you get manually adjustable adaptive suspension. Yes. So you have to get out of the car, put your hand in and adjust the suspension. Ask your salesman about that. It's very interesting. I've never seen anything like it. Can't imagine many people getting out of the car and adjusting their suspension. Yeah. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So there are your three packs. The top pack is 5,000 UK pounds. So you got 3, 4 and 5. Very simple. And that's Pilot, Plus and Performance. There you go. Nice and easy. Glove box. Call it a glove box. I never know why we called it a glove box. I always find tissues in here, and my other half keeps all sorts of things in there. I'm sure there's creatures in there that have been living there for the last 20 years. You do get this nice box. Isn't that lovely? Lovely, look. It's quite hard as well, and it's got its own little place to put it. And inside your little Polestar box, you get a little Polestar cleaner for your screen, so you can clean your screen so you don't get the fingerprints on it. This is all very nice, you know, but all very unnecessary.
in here, that's your little pack for your screen cleaner. Then you get a supplement in here, and then a guide on how to charge the car and all things like that. Do we really need this, guys? Do we? Because if you did away with this box and all those little bits inside it, and the extra cost of producing a little shelf to put said box in, surely we could have a nice space saver wheel in the back, couldn't we? And then we wouldn't have to worry about these run flats getting hit by a curb, or, you know, where you're not going to be able to use them and you need a spare wheel. Just a thought. Anyway, nice sized glove box, yeah. Must have been from the days when you put your gloves in there. Don't have driving gloves anymore. This car, there are 3 models you can buy. Entry level, £39,800, gets you a standard range battery and a single motor. Will do 0 to 60 in around about 7.5 seconds and has 200 brake horsepower. There you go. If you want to jump up to a longer range version of that, give you an extra 30-40 miles, it will cost you around about 43,000 UK pounds. It will have 220 brake horsepower and it will do 0 to 60 in around about 6.5 seconds. Oh yes. Now, if you really want to go for it and spend 46,000 UK pounds, you can have all-wheel drive, because it's got 2 motors, one front and one back. So that means the one at the back's powering the 2 back wheels and the one at the front's powering the 2. But it basically means you've got all-wheel drive, which is really cool. You get long range with that, and on top of that, you get 402 brake horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 4 seconds. That's pretty quick for an electric car. Not quite as quick as a Tesla, that's all I say. But we're talking minimal here, really minimal. Over a distance, you wouldn't hardly even notice it. So the acceleration rate in this particular car, which is that top of the range one, is pretty phenomenal. Now, on that note, we need to get it out and test it, don't we? I mean, I've done enough. I've waxed lyrical about this car. I've told you everything about it. Let's get it out on the road. Let's see what the Polestar 2 goes like and give you our final evaluation.
So here we are, we're out on the road in the Polestar 2, and first things first, you do hear quite a bit of road noise, and there's a reason for that, because you can't hear any engine or any gearbox. It's kind of creepy at first, but you get used to it, trust me. And then when you do get into a petrol car, you suddenly realise, or a diesel car, how much noise there is that's floating around you. Because in here, it's almost like you're, you know, like when you watch one of those Western movies where the ball of brushwood or whatever it's called goes floating through on the wind. It's like, if I had an effect for that, I would put it in now and let you hear it. But I'm just not into my effects, so I haven't got that. But I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about. So it's nice, it's serene, it's comfortable, and yeah, above all, it's very, very powerful. If you've never driven an electric vehicle before, it's quite a shocker when you actually first put your foot down and realise, as your head hits the back of the headrest like that, how fast these cars actually are. There are no gears. You don't need to do anything. As I said from the beginning, it's forward and reverse. That's it. And you just sit here and drive. All you've got to do is point it in the direction you want to go, and it will go. And the good thing about this car, with all the safety aids it's got and a lot of the autonomy that's built into this car, ready for the future as well, obviously, it's just a lovely place to be. I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I really have started to like this car. I'm not an electric car lover. I think the infrastructure is all wrong at the moment. We're just not ready to do this. However, this car has proved me so wrong. I've driven all the Teslas. I love the Teslas. I've got absolute admiration for what Elon Musk has done. But there wasn't, in my opinion, at any one point until now, anyone else out there that could compete with that, because it was just that next level up. You know, you've got there's a lot of electric cars about. You've got the Renault Do One, there's DS Do One, there's so many, I could keep going on and on. But they're all sort of built for people who have them as a second car, if that makes sense. Like, you know, just to run backwards and forwards to the shops. In actual fact, I was chatting to a guy the other day who's just bought a electric Mini, and the only reason he's bought it is so he can go and pick his grandchildren up, or pop down to the shops to get a paper, or, you know, go and do his weekly shopping. I think that's such a shame. This car is completely different. I expected the mileage to be sucked down because I had the wipers on, I had the heating on, you know, front heated seat. I thought it's going to suck the life out of this battery. But I've got to say, it was very, very good indeed. I am so surprised at how, you know, how good this car is. So we know it's comfortable. I've said that. Great all-round peripheral vision on the car. Love those mirrors. Can't get over those mirrors. They're amazing. One little drawback is the rear screen. Very difficult to see out the back. However, fantastic camera on this car. It's got one of those above cameras, like as if a drone is hovering above you. Parking is superb. Very easy to do. And I'm sure in the next few years, this will be able to just park itself as well, so you won't even have to worry about that. But that's my only real comment. Love this big panoramic roof. That is just a must for me. I would definitely want that. It just makes this whole car feel so airy and light in here. And speaking of light, with the steering, for example, you can set that. I think I mentioned that when we were doing the up front bit, when we were doing the review there. But I've got it on light at the moment. It's really nice. I mean, you can literally, just steer it with your thumb. It's as simple as that. I love having all the safety aids. I really, really love the cruise control and the lane keeping and the distance control. So easy to use. Comes up on your digital cockpit here down the bottom, and it just lights up. So it's there all the time, but as soon as you get it connected, you click on like that, it comes straight on, and then you can click again, turn it off. It's just so easy. And it'll pick up on the white lines. It'll almost steer for you, almost, without you having to put your hands on the wheel, even though it's legally obliged that you do on a public highway at the moment. I don't think it'll be long before we sitting in one of these in the back seat having that ham sandwich, trust me. There is a warranty that comes with this car. There's a 60,000 mile 3-year warranty, get my words right. You also get a 3 years connectability warranty with it. So in other words, for the updates that you're going to get regularly coming through, you don't get charged for those. There's a 3-year roadside assistance included in that as well. So if you did break down for any reason, you've got roadside recovery as well. So you've got your warranty, you've got your, your assistance, you've got your connectivity warranty. It's all there, guys. I mean, to be honest, get down the showroom and have a go in one of these, because I think you are going to be so surprised. And don't just reserve this car for popping down the shops, because it really isn't. This is actually something I would get in and go on holiday. I would drive 200 miles and not really be that worried. My biggest worry, like with all of these cars, including the Tesla, every electric car I've ever driven, is the infrastructure that is currently around us to cope with the amount of electric cars that are coming onto the market. They are coming out at such a rate, and unfortunately, the only people who've really thought about this are Tesla. They've thought ahead. I have had numerous problems with charging stations. The only thing I'll say with this car is it does say what it says on it does do what it says on the tin. It will do 230 miles. It will get you there. Trust me, I have tested this car and I have utmost faith in it. Let's hope that in the near future, other companies will build cars like this, and it won't just be the Teslas and the Polestars of the world. We'll have a good varied choice. But at the moment, I've got to say it, I think they are the only two on the luxury level. Some cheaper ones out there are not so luxurious, but they're for nipping backwards and forwards to the shops, as I said earlier. Go and give one a test drive, guys. That's all it boils down to.